Today we're going to talk about ownership and the cost of ownership after 5 years. I bought this car in May of 2015. It's now June of 2020. And time to take a look at what this car cost for ownership, including purchase price, for my 5 years. And then even the previous owner, there was only one, he had it for 4.5. He bought it new and it first hit the road in September of 2010. So it will be on the road 10 years as of this September 2020. Let's take a look inside at some of the things that have worn. Again, the car is 10 years old. These ones are notorious for right here, where they get kind of rough. And you can see that's happened here. I clean this up as much as I can, but still, compared to this side, it's not. But otherwise, the seats have been fantastic. You can see the pedals are good, and everything in here is good. The only sign of wear that I can see is right down here. This basically tinfoil junk that they put around the cup holders has started to fall apart. But otherwise, everything looks like the day I bought it and starts like the day I bought it. And sounds like the day I bought it. The car's had no mechanical work done to it. Sounds like this. Extraordinarily dirty. Now that it's through the cold start, that's the rumble. As you can see, no issues. I did put Excel here of the wheel wells, and also right for half the hood. For some reason, the original owner did not. And he was one of those people who was very particular. Some things that have happened and I've had to replace. This fog light got busted, rock went through it, and this mesh cracked when I hit some snow that was harder than it was. Other than that, everything has worked. Back seats are where my two children are. Stay. You can tell not a lot of room behind sitting when you sit behind me. That's just the way it goes. But the seats look brand new, except for the baby seat. That is always awful, but that's what happens. Children eat. You can hear that motor now. Take a listen. Again, it has not a lot of miles on it. It's quiet. I'll open it up for you. The engine has done a great job in not being an issue, knock on wood. This one is post head bolt issue. If you know this engine, you know that 2008, 9, and 10 had head bolt issues, and by the time this came around, they had cleared it up. You can see that? I'll shut up and you can listen. Thank you to Ty. So again, very few faults after 10 years on the road, 5 years of my ownership. These are the original wheels. They've been good. I'm running Firestone right now. The Indy one. Good deal. I've liked them so far. This is their second summer. Like everybody else says, they don't last a lot of summers. Otherwise, let's scroll through here and you'll see what I mean. There you go, in kilometers. That's it. I want to put that into miles for those who want to do that. Let's see what I mean. There we go. That's it. Stereo's been working fine. Like everybody else, I hook up an iPad. I just bought a Bluetooth too to see whether that works. It was intermittent, so I wasn't as happy. This is the one I bought. It was all of $4, so you get what you pay for. Let's talk about how much it cost from the beginning to now. This car was bought September 2010. That's $84,700. $5,000 was the deposit. These are all Canadian dollars. I'll do the exchange later. And here's the vehicle information. Performance packs, premium package, walnut wood, and a 19-inch. Love it when you find out some new things. So not only did it have the performance package in 16, it had the electronic speed limiter deletion. So when you see those people who are going 306 or 319 kilometers an hour, this is what they have. That's just under 200 miles an hour. Had the AMG styling package, red brake calipers, 27 miles per gallon. Like this, the black AMG Napa leather. Of course, it has the smart key, panic buttons, keyless go, all the airbags, and that's what we care about. Limited slip rear differential. And of course, in all years 2011, it's that weird one where it's just before the facelift if you're into the W204s, but after the head bolt issue. So 481 horsepower. You can see where after 3 years of ownership, he's only driven about 10,000 kilometers, which is about 6,000 miles. This is just typical warranty stuff. Oil and checking other things. A lot of zeros down here, except for, what was that? Yes, filters, $500 for labor, $791. Dr. Car Clean, $376. This guy detailed his car every spring, no matter what. 4 years after buying the car, and just 1 year before I did, previous owner decided he needed new tires, or that was decided for him. He put on Michelin Pilot Super Sports. As you might guess, he put on the very best. And that cost him almost $1,700. Here's how much I paid for the car. It was 84 plus new. I paid about 53% of that value 4.5 years later, again with very few miles on it, just over 7,000 miles. So he took the huge 50%, near 50% depreciation, which is pretty typical on a new car, and then didn't use it. I bought it as a daily driver, which means that I had to buy winter tires because we're in Canada, so I had to buy Blizzaks and the rims, and that came to a total, as you can see, $1,100 here, $500 here, total of just under $2,000 for the winter rims and the tires. Fortunately, those have lasted 4+ years because you don't burn out a lot of winter tires. Now, after I'd had the car for about 9 months, I had the oil changed again. It's $250. I did not go to the dealership because why would you? Protecting the car was important, so that expel for the partial hood, fender bumper, and rear impact you saw, well, that came to $682. Just under 2 years of having the car, it was time to get more service done. So, changing the oil, of course, seals, air filter, all that came to $440. A year later, something similar. We had the oil changed, seals, and of course, it was time for the cabin filter to be changed. All that came to just under $600. Just under 4 years of ownership. Once again, oil change, replacing the fog light. Remember I told you about that on the passenger side. And another bulb. That cost $682. Last year, it was time to get new tires. Firestone Firehawk Indy 500s came highly recommended, and they've been okay. So I needed 4 of those. I also get them mounted and everything. That came to $1,272. Firestone gave me $100 back. Also, one of these broke, so I had to change it. That cost a total of $1,675 at the dealership. And just before winter started again, it was time for another synthetic oil change and the usual, including yet another lamp that burned out. That one came to $408. And just last month, remember the front bumper that was busted? Yeah, well, they had to actually, or the front part of the grill that was busted, they had to take off the bumper. So the part was fairly cheap, but the labor was a couple hours, and that came to $438. Well, the bottom line for this 2011 C63 is that it cost me $7,226.45 to run it for 5 years. Again, I'm the second owner. That's about $5,300 US. Now, when you take the total in Canadian, it's about $55,226.75, or just over $41,000 US. That includes purchasing it when it was 4.5 years old with under 10,000 miles, and running it for 5 years. And it certainly does not include gasoline. The car is not cheap on gasoline. I'm very happy when gas is cheap, and frankly, drive less when it's more expensive. But every single day that you drive a car like this, if you're not enjoying it, then you need to move on, because it's not a cheap thing to do. Is it worth it? I think so. I didn't think it was all that much. It's about $1,400, $1,500 Canadian a year, so about $1,000 to $1,100 in maintenance per year in the US dollars. Well worth it if this is the kind of car you want to have.